Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. Get on in here, okay? You are now in the den. So, you guys, today is Self-Care Saturday, of course. And you know what my Self-Care Saturdays, sometimes I'm talking about, self-care, of course, self-care tips and ideas, positive affirmations. Of course, we are spreading positivity all up and through here. We want to, bring awareness to mental health, stop the stigma, break the silence, and all of that good stuff. But today I specifically wanted to talk to you guys about grief, okay? Because that is something that I have been experiencing over this past week. I have a lot of family and friends that was experiencing it over this past week, and so sometimes I do give you things just as I get it, right? It is something that we all go through at one time or another, right? For many different reasons. And of course, I just want to start out by saying that grief is not a disorder, or a disease or a sign of weakness. It is an emotional, physical, and spiritual necessity. The price you pay for love. The only cure for grief is to grieve. All right, let that be known, point blank, period. And of course, there are many kinds of grief, many reasons for grief, right? We always want to give the definition, and I just want to give that breakdown and kind of tell you guys the difference between grief, bereavement, and mourning. So grief, of course, is a normal process. As I said, is experiencing grief is how a person reacts to loss. And many people think that grief should just be a short time, or, it's just a way of response of loss. But actually, grieving does include emotional process of, coping with the loss, and it can last for a very long time. There's no right or wrong way to grieve, and there's no amount of time that is the right time to grieve, okay? They typically say that it lasts from 4 months to 6 years, or is it 6 months to 4 years, one or the other, you guys. But at the end of the day, everybody is different, right? And grief can be a response also to you getting physically ill, right? You having a chronic illness, you losing your job, you losing a relationship or a friendship. It does not also always, I should say, include or have to be death, but that is one of the things that, of course, we do grieve is death as well, right? And then, so grief is basically the loss of a job, the loss of a, relationship, and death, right? And then bereavement would be the period after the loss where you mourn. And mourning would be the process in which people adapt to loss, okay? And every person, again, grieves differently. It can depend on the relationship that you had with the person and how long it was, how long you knew them, the circumstances of their death. Examples, of course, if you had a difficult relationship with them, if they had a long time illness, if it was a freak accident or violent, then you're not gonna probably just get over it like somebody else, does. And so people that like to say, oh, well, I went through that and I got over it, like I tell y'all with many things, we don't want to say that, okay? Just because you was able to get past in a certain way does not mean that the next person can get past in that same way. So we always, of course, want to give a person grace and also give ourselves grace, all right? Now, of course, we go through the different stages of grieving, right? Just like a person that is ill or sick goes through stages, pretty much the same stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, right? Some lists have 5 things, some lists have 7. And so the extra 2 that would be added to those is guilt and pain and shock and disbelief, right? And grieving can cause you to feel numbness. It could be anger, it could be guilt, it can be anxiety, it could be sadness, it could be despair. You can have difficulty concentrating, sleeping, eating problems, and even result in illness. Remember, we have talked about this several times, how mental health and physical health go hand in hand. If you're physically in pain, that can cause you to be messed up mentally. If you're mentally going through it, it actually can cause you to have physical pain most of the times in back, right? In your back, you can start complaining of a lot of back pain. That's one of the symptoms, but that's not the only place that it can be. So we do have to watch out for things like that, right? Now, We always hear all, time heals all wounds, which I don't agree with. I actually have a poem where I talk about that in terms of, my health deteriorating and the struggles I went through when I first got hurt on the job or whatever and injured and had to have my surgery and all of that kind of stuff, right? For some people, it can take weeks. For some people, it could take months. For some people, it could take years. Everyone does not grieve the same way. And caring for those who are grieving, how you would be able to help them and be supportive is simply listening, okay? Saying nothing sometimes. Sometimes we just need to be silent together. You just could be there and you ain't got to be saying one word, right? And then if you are telling them something, make sure that you're specific with the help that you're offering to them, right? And also let them know that you see their efforts, okay? Some of us who may have faith, religious or whatever, may want to read Bible verses, may want to pray with the person, okay? And of course, watch out for any warning signs if you feel like this is starting to be something where it's becoming unhealthy for the person and they need some other type of outside help, okay? Always look out for that and pay attention to that. What we don't want to do, whether it's with ourselves or anybody else, is depend on alcohol and drugs. Isolate. At the end of the day, a lot of people may drink or do drugs because they feel like that's taking the pain away, that's getting their mind off of it, that's not, making them not think about it. But whether we're talking about with grief or with any everyday problems, of course, once that daggone high, runs out or you sober up, those problems are still going to be there. So you doing that is definitely not going to help. You isolating and not having nobody around is not going to help. You ignoring if you are feeling in a depressive state that you feel is more serious, when maybe you need to go and speak to somebody, have some type of they have grievance groups, grievance counseling or whatever, or just therapy in general, right? So if you know that you starting to feel like a little more extra depressed, then maybe you're comfortable with, right? It's becoming major, it's becoming severe. You definitely want to reach out to somebody for help in those situations, right? And we don't want to neglect self-care. Self-care always has to be a must. So I know you may have some of those days where you don't want to get out the bed, you don't feel like being bothered. And we always say that's fine. It's okay not to be okay. You have to go through the motions. You have to grieve. You have to let yourself feel what you're feeling. But we also don't want to stay stuck there. So eventually we do need to get up and we do need to do what we have to do for ourselves, right? And don't be hard on yourself for what you are feeling, because you aren't feeling anything that any of the rest of us haven't felt, at one time or another. Is completely natural. And so I know that could be hard, and sometimes we really could beat ourselves up about stuff like that. And like I said, you guys, this was just something that I really experienced a lot this past week, and I felt bad for my other family and friends that I knew was experiencing that, because when we have birthdays, when we have anniversaries, when we have holidays, those can be big triggers. And sometimes it could be the tiniest things that you're not even thinking about that can also be a big trigger, such as, or even a little trigger, hearing a song, watching a movie, a certain taste you have, a certain smell you have. I've been in the supermarket last week and had a song come on where I was like, oh wow, my spouse used to play that song all the time when we would go for drops, and I literally broke down in the supermarket. Another time I was opening up tuna fish, a can of tuna fish not too long after he had passed away, and I broke down with that, because usually if I was having trouble in opening the can, he would be the one that's there to open it, and so it literally could be the most simplest things. And my girlfriend just happened to call me like right in the midst of me having my breakdown, and I was like, oh, you must have felt me, and we was able to talk it through, and I was able to feel a little bit better. Also, if you know somebody that can relate, that's had the same type of situation that you've had, that you are able to confide in, that might be a little bit easier for you, as opposed to talking to somebody that's never been through that before. So therefore, they may not understand it in the same terms that you do. And so Yeah, guys, I just wanted to talk to y'all about that a little bit because, like I said, that is the way that it came to me. All right. And I also wanted to just share there is something that my sister shared with me, okay, that Presbyterian Hospital was doing. And it got me to thinking that there's probably a lot of states and cities that do it, right, that offer different services, whether it's counseling, yoga, Pilates. They actually have a free 12 p.m. Zoom class where they're doing meditation online for free. Of course, when you go in person, it would depend on, your insurance that you have. And you also have an option to pay out of pocket. Now that is Presbyterian Hospital here in New York City, okay? And I know that everybody that watched this may not be from New York, so maybe you might want to Google this and look into this. And then with the Zoom, maybe it's possible for you to Zoom, depending on what your time zone is. Just make sure that is the 12 o'clock time zone for New York, and maybe you could do it through Zoom for free. I'm actually thinking of doing it myself as far as the meditation goes, right? Or look at the ones that are the closest to you to see what your community, city, borough, state has, and whether they offer any of these things, right? We all could use all the help that we could get whenever we could get it. So I will leave that in the description box as well, with the link to that for anybody that could possibly be interested in it. And I did want to share, which I normally don't do, okay? First time for everything. I've never really read these aloud to, anybody in a public forum type of thing, right? This has always kind of just been something that some of my family and friends have heard. But I have 3 poems, right? 2 of them are dedicated to friends that I lost, and the other one is more so in terms of me and my injury and how I was feeling at that time, and I'm gonna end it off with that. And so the first one is called I Miss You Every Day, because you guys, things that we can do to kind of also get us through the process and maybe help ourselves, help us celebrate the people, remember them, is write in a journal, write letters to them. For me, it's poetry, maybe it's writing a song, maybe it's having a memorial, okay, whether it's a memorial that's at a physical place or it's a memorial that's online. There's some other things we can do as well, and for me, it is poetry. So I just thought that I would share it with you. So this one is called I Miss You Every Day. And basically it says, I miss you so, okay? No one can ever know or understand when your partner, lover, best friend, okay, is gone. You're asking why. You keep playing it over and over in your mind. They will tell you it gets better with time, but I will tell you that's all lies. I still miss you every day. Tears in my eyes, I call your name. Life will never be the same. The times we talked all night, the birthdays, the holidays, the special events, the ones that held me down, that made me feel like no one else existed. I never get that back, those days. I'll remember them always. They say you're in a better place. I hope and believe that's true. I'm glad you're not suffering. I wouldn't want that for you. I can't tell if it's the selfish side that says that you're not with me. How can this be? 16 years together, 4 years apart. Where do I start? I have no words, nothing to say. Our life together flashes in my face. Okay. Time waits for no one. You can lose your love in the blink of an eye, any day, anytime, anywhere. Say I love you this second, this minute, this day. I love you and I miss you every day. Whew. The next one is for Janae. We were just friends, then teens, and suddenly adults, and then mothers to be. Our kids are playing together. How can this be? The stories I could tell you. Us walking with the radio, blasting Key Sweat, never missing a beat. Let the whispers play the soundtrack to your life. I miss you, my friend, to be continued till we meet again. God has gained the angel. You are now have your wings. Fly high, sweet angel. Rest in peace. And her birthday is September 5th. So happy birthday to her. I dedicate that to her. Ooh, guys, I wasn't expecting to get emotional, but we're going to end it off. This is the last one. This one is basically, like I said, about me and how I felt when I first got injured. And so I said, I lost myself, my leg, my back, my mind. I lost everything I thought I knew. Last but not least, I lost you. No certificates, no degrees could help me get through. For 10 years, I couldn't get out. I wanted to yell and scream and shout, feeling like the world is passing me by. seeing literally what it means when they say time flies. But I'm still here saying, what am I going to do with my life? I lost myself trying to find myself instead of thinking, where do I go from here? Making my way and striving to thrive. I lost myself, my health, my mind. And that one is called Lost, y'all. So that's what I got for y'all today. And I hope something out of what I said is something that somebody out there needed to hear, okay? I hope you are having a good day. If today is not a good day, I hope that tomorrow is a better one. Y'all take care of yourselves, okay? Put yourselves first. Do what you need to do for you. Protect your peace always. Have a great weekend, okay? Till next time. Toodaloo.